Joe Biden is now 100 days into the hardest job of his life, and it is hard to see how it could possibly be going better.
How the metrics of his progress is that he always overshoots the runway instead of underperforms.
Among speech watchers tonight in this instant poll, 86% say that his policies on coronavirus are moving the country in the right direction. 74% on racial injustice, 72% on the economy, 70% on gun laws, 70% on taxes, and 65% on immigration.
$4 trillion in new spending that President Biden is proposing on top of that $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief bill.
Yeah, that was the media on Biden's first 100 days. Did you catch them touting Biden's mistakes, like massive $5 trillion in government overspending that ignited historic inflation? Joining us now, Congressman Chip Roy from House Judiciary. Congressman, it's always wonderful and great to see you again. You know, so the media touted Biden's first 100 days, but now they're attacking Trump. What do you think about media bias here?
Yeah, pretty self-evident, right? The American people can see with their own eyes what we witnessed for the 4 years of the Biden administration. And frankly, the first 100 days of President Trump can be summarized best by saying that we're having to undo all of the damage of the Biden administration. Look, what the president has been doing with respect to the border is nothing short of extraordinary. We're down 94% year over year. We're, basically around 200 apprehensions a day, 5,000 or 6,000 a month. We were getting 6, 7, 8, 10, 12,000 apprehensions a day under the Biden administration. Fentanyl is down. And importantly, we're removing criminal aliens, removing dangerous gang members to the extent judges don't interfere with the president's job because they're carrying out the same kind of lawfare against him in the White House as they did before he got to the White House. But look, the media is going to do what they're going to do. The American people can see with their own eyes. The border's better. The country's safer. Our standing in the world is superior. DEI and all of the divisive policies in the deep state and the bureaucracies are getting called out. We're reducing and firing bureaucrats. And now Congress has been doing a lot of good work. I know maybe not as fast as people want, but we passed the SAVE Act. We passed some other good bills.
What's the status of the big, beautiful bill to make the Trump tax cuts permanent and for more border and energy security? President Trump last night at his rally in Michigan criticized, quote, Republican grandstanders opposing the bill, saying if they succeed and that tax cut, if the tax cuts don't come back, you're going to see the highest tax increase in history. What's the status?
Well, first of all, the highest tax increase the American people face is the inflation tax based on the cost of goods because government has been spending too much money. So we've got to stop spending money that we don't have. We're $37 trillion in debt pretty soon. We're approaching $1 trillion of interest.
But do you support the tax cuts?
Of course I'm for the tax cuts.
What is your position on the big, beautiful bill?
I'm for the tax cuts, but only if it comes with the spending cuts. So my position on the big, beautiful bill is my message to Republicans is do your job. Do what the president campaigned on.
Yeah, but that's the fight over dynamic scoring. I mean, you got it. The tax cuts will do prosperity. Yes, it will bring in more revenue. You've seen it since the Clinton era.
Of course they'll bring in more revenue, but the dynamic scoring we've already factored in. We put in $2.5 trillion of dynamic scoring. I'm happy to have dynamic scoring, but if you don't cut spending, you're going to have inflation on the American people, and you're going to have deficits in the future. We cannot have the deficits.
Listen, if you don't have those tax cuts, it's going to hit the economy. Congressman Roy, thank you for being with us.
If you don't have spending cuts, the tax cuts won't do any good.
We hear you. We hear you loud and clear. Thank you for joining us. You're ever so wonderful to be with us.